Good evening. I call this meeting to order at 7 o'clock. So I'd like to start this meeting with just a moment to take some silence, just to kind of reflect and get ourselves ready to conduct city business. I know you've all had a busy day and families and work, so we're just going to take a moment for you to take a minute, just however you'd like to do that. All right, I now welcome you to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have a roll call, please?
Johnson.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
Leaks May.
Here.
Mikulski.
Here.
Polika.
Here.
I move that, I now need a motion to approve the agenda.
Mayor, we have a couple updates on the agenda. I would like to move to add to the agenda item 4C, which will be the presentation of the Holiday Lights Awards for the Ferndale Arts and Beautification Commission, which would then move the presentation of the 2023 Ferndale Environmental Sustainability, as well as the Ferndale Accessibility and Inclusion Advisory Commission business items, down to 4D and 4E.
And are we moving, where will the Ferndale accessibility be?
Accessibility would be 4E,
Or D?
4D. Is that correct?
Who will entertain a motion with the approval of the agenda with amendments?
We approve the agenda with the aforestated edits.
I need a second.
Second.
Johnson.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Leaks May.
Yes.
Mikulski.
Yes.
Polika.
Yes.
All right, we will start with the presentations. Up for presentation, we have Chief Emmy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm pleased to come forward today with to recognize some fabulous police work in our community done by our officers and by a citizen. So we're going to start with, can Officer Kevin Jerome and Officer Scott DeWoley please come forward? You guys stay right there. Smile big. On Friday, November 3rd, 2023, at approximately 3:30 in the morning, Ferndale officers were dispatched to report that two suspects were trying to break into the ATM located within the Sunoco gas station at 140 Pinecrest. The gas station attendant called 911 after locking himself in the bathroom. The attendant continued to update dispatch regarding the suspect's actions as he watched the crime unfold on the video surveillance system. The suspects entered the gas station during business hours and attempted to rip the ATM from the foundation by wrapping one end of a chain around the ATM and affixing the other end to a pickup truck. The suspects made several attempts to dislodge the ATM, substantially damaging the ATM and the entrance to the building. The officers arrived within minutes, interrupting the crime while it was in progress. When the officers arrived, the suspect's vehicle backed into the gas station's front door. The suspects fled eastbound in the pickup over a parking block, traveling eastbound in the westbound lanes of 8 Mile Road. Officer Jerome pursued in his scout car, while Officers DeWoley and Chomosky, who were partnered, pursued in another scout car. The suspects entered the first turnaround into the eastbound lanes of 8 Mile and turned south into the city of Detroit. The vehicle came to an abrupt halt on the front lawn in the 20,000 block of Monica. The driver and his accomplice, who had been in the bed of the pickup truck, both suspects fled on foot through the neighborhood. Officers from Ferndale, Oak Park, Royal Oak, Hazel Park, and Southfield assisted with the perimeter and the search for the suspects. Officers located the driver, and Officer Tremoski grabbed onto the suspect as he attempted to scale a fence. A physical struggle ensued. The driver resisted arrest, ignored commands, and eventually broke free from Officer Tremoski. Officer DeWoolley deployed his taser, accurately striking the driver in the back. Officers Sutter and Jerome were nearby and were able to secure the driver. Officer Jerome, Officer DeWoolley, Officer Tremoski, and Officer Sutter demonstrated exemplary teamwork. Their swift and decisive actions led to the apprehension of a dangerous criminal with an extensive criminal history. For their actions, all of the officers involved, including Officers Jerome and DeWoolley, received the unit commendation. Our next incident that is worthy of reward, on September 20th, 2023, at approximately 11:18 hours, that's 11:18 for civilians in the morning, Ferndale officers were dispatched to the area 9 Mile and Woodward on an unresponsive person. Jocelyn Haggerty, an off-duty nurse, was passing through the area and noticed a man lying on the sidewalk. Jocelyn pulled over and joined the responding officers to aid the 68-year-old man that was not breathing. Jocelyn informed the officers that she was a nurse and immediately began to assist with CPR. Jocelyn assisted officers Courtney Link and Nicholas July by administering chest compressions. Jocelyn continued chest compressions until Ferndale Fire Department paramedics arrived on scene and took over care. The patient was stabilized inside the ambulance by Ferndale Fire Department paramedics and was transported to a local hospital where he made full recovery. Jocelyn Haggerty's quick response, effective CPR, and dedication to her profession on and off duty directly impacted the efforts to save a man's life. Jocelyn Haggerty is a credit to our community and the nursing profession. For these selfless actions, the Ferndale Police Department has presented Jocelyn Haggerty with the Certificate of Appreciation. Please come forward, Jocelyn.
Thank you, Chief. So now we have presentation from our commissioner, and I'll let Joe, I'll let you go ahead.
Yeah, through the chair, Commissioner Cavill, Charlie Cavill serves Ferndale County. He's our representative up at Oakland County, and Commissioner Cavill had requested that we add a update from the county to our agenda in January.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. I would have worn my keffiyeh, but I'm at work right now. But first, very cool to see 7E. Great job on the pay raise. So right, I'm Charlie Cavell, I'm our county commissioner. So what I wanted to do is first tell you a couple things that we've done at the county, well, several things, but focus around two things that we've spent the last year at least doing, and then end with a call to action and an ask of how you can help us more. So first is I want to run through a few things that we've done at the county to lower costs using your taxes and also ARPA, so federal COVID money. And then second, talk about how we're making it easier for people to thrive here in Oakland County. So that's kind of the framing I want us to look at, right? Lower costs and easier to thrive. So first, we've been lowering costs by creating a water hardship fund. So there's already a program for people that make 100% of the poverty line, but there is not a fund available for people that make 101% of the poverty line up to 200%, so working families. So we've created a water hardship fund, and that's something that we'll be rolling out in the next couple months. There's also something that hopefully you saw a lot of press on because it seemed to be getting a lot of attention. We call it Oakland Saves, which is a way to do, thank you. So it's a way to do making the envelope of your house more energy efficient, so it lowers your energy bills and also helps fight climate change. Third, critical home repair. This is a huge thing, especially for people aging in place, so this is very important for folks in our area. And again, with all of these, call me if you have questions or this is the first time you're hearing about it or do you want to know more, because that's my job. Oh, fourth, this is very cool. This took me 11 months to do. I was the one who put a lot of the sweat into this. We are erasing the medical debt of 80,000 families in Oakland County. So there's, so that's cool. There's roughly 100,000 folks with medical debt, so this will catch most people that we focused on people that are 3 months behind or more. You can call me about that too. Also, lastly, on lowering costs, there's a child care scholarship that we have for up to 1,000 families. And again, this is focused on working families, so people that have $100,000 of income in their households or less a year with kids. It's $1,200, and it's a benefit that goes directly to the child care center. So that it doesn't count against your taxes, and it also doesn't mean you have to do extra paperwork. So that's lowering costs. So making it easier to thrive. We had our second gun buyback that was hosted by St. David's Church in Southfield that we collected over 250 weapons at, including a couple of assault rifles. And we also, just in a cool budget maneuver, they'll understand it's probably lame and nerdy for you guys, but through the budgeting process, we created the Safer Communities Fund, which instilled a passive source of revenue for that, which is great. So we're going to be able to have gun buybacks every year at least from now on. Also making it easier to thrive, senior centers. So this was a big thing. We gave out $8 million in grants to the 36 senior centers or communities that do senior center provisions. So Ferndale was a beneficiary of that. Also, Oakland 80, so people that are in need of jobs, job training, or leveling up. We put $15 million into that to making sure that people can pay their bills. We also, this is really cool for Ferndale, and Joe, the city manager, and I talked a lot about this for like a year and a half. The co-responder grant program. So a co-responder is where, so what police will tell you is the majority or close to half of the calls that they go on are related to domestic violence or mental health concerns. And so if you're a cop, you are more than likely not trained as much as a social worker in handling those sorts of mental health crises. So what we're doing is, in order to de-escalate situations, creating a co-responder program, which is you have a cop and a social worker co-respond with a cop so that everyone can be safe and nothing bad has to happen. And Ferndale's going to be getting one of those, which will be very cool. Critical infrastructure grants. So I also see that you guys are going to be talking about repaving the roads. So that was something that we did. This is more for the planning side of things, so you won't see it, but they'll see it because it's architectural drawings that got paid for by the county. And then lastly, we put $20 million into Oakland County Parks, which also now does not just include stuff north of M59 or out by Novi. It also includes Oak Park and Southfield, so come to a county park near you. So that's the kind of braggy stuff about the county. So then the ask is, what should we do next? We spent $240 million in federal COVID relief money from the Biden administration. That's what allowed us to do a lot of these things, and the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and so many other things. So now it's back to like regular old local government. So we need your good ideas, and I want to hear from you what you worry about most in terms of your life, because we got to figure out what we're going to do now. So please reach out, and I'd be happy to take any questions. You have them. Or talk offline, whatever you prefer, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Through the chair, Charlie, could you remind us how to reach out to you?
Good looking out. Yeah. My email is CAV, like vegetable, ELLC, @oakgov.com. Best way to get me those, my cell, 947, the new Oakland County area code, 947-500-1144. Good looking out. Yep. All right, thank you.
Drew? You have a new area code?
Started rolling out a new
Our next presentation will be the holiday lights from the Ferndale Arts Beautification.
Markets area codes.
Why are there only 2 slides?
Is there really 2 slides?
They're there.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. We decided we're going to give you some post-holiday spirit for the holiday awards. We decided to dress up for everybody today, bring some cheer today. We're part of the new Combined Arts and Beautification Commission. So today we're going to go over all the holiday lights winners from last year at Christmas time and to 2023. So here we go. Are we sharing this? Okay. So, I'm going to put this on presentation mode. Hold on a second. Well, I guess I can't put it on presentation mode. Okay, the first one, the Northwest winner is 250 West Maplehurst. This was a real-life gingerbread house. Clark Griswold approved. 250, he would have totally approved this house. Very cute house. 250 West Maplehurst has light shining from every surface and was described as a magical by some of its nominators. The owners caught a picture of it during one of our recent snowstorms and added it to the magic. So congratulations. 250 West Maplehurst didn't show up today, so we're going to definitely get them their certificate. So then the next one, for the southeast quadrant of Ferndale, 2224 College. This couple capitalized on every square inch of their Ferndale home. The bright and merry displays incorporated most things holiday that you could only dream of. The light arch and the sidewalk edging all tied it together. It was a really fun house to go to. So our neighbors are not here to accept this one either. The last one would be, the third one here, would be the Northeast winner, 3279 Harris Street. Their neighbor nominated them for bringing the festive feeling back to their block. They decorated their yard every holiday, and one of the neighbors considers them a shining beacon in the street. So I want to congratulate them. And Howie, would you like to come up and say something? Here you go. And you can read the last one.
I just want to say thank you. We didn't really think that we would win. We didn't do a ton, but we try and do it every holiday for our neighbors. They always come over and congratulate us on having the prettiest house on the block. So, thank you.
All right, let's get a picture of you. Can we get a picture of you? Yeah, but should we take a picture of her first? Go ahead. Okay. Did you want to read the last one?
No, you go right ahead.
Okay. All right. All right, our last one is the Southwest winner, 808 Meadowdale. Their snowman golden retriever theme is carried out throughout the whole yard, and the house glows from each end of the street. This couple takes a few weeks to get everything set up, and they love to share their decorations for most of the holidays with their neighbors. So Let's congratulate 808 Meadowdale. And do we want to go through would you like to go over the last two? Okay.
In 2024, the Arts Commission and the Beautification Commission were combined, so we are now going by the FAB Commission. And we're hoping to work towards a fabulous 2024 for Ferndale. We've done there's been a lot of programs that have gone on through both commissions, and we're hoping to carry on both of them and add in some new events and programs to make Ferndale a great, fun, and funky place. So thank you very much, and if we can take the photo. Mayor?
All right, so next up, we have, our next presentation will be the Ferndale Accessibility, Inclusion, and Advisory Commission Business Awards presentation.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Council and Ferndale. Glad we've got a packed house to learn about some of the work in accessibility and disability inclusion we have going on in Ferndale. It's a bit of a mouthful, but I'm Alan Hale. This is Zoe, and we're the Ferndale Accessibility and Inclusion Advisory Commission, or FIAC, as we call ourselves. So our goal as a commission is we're here to really make Ferndale a place of choice to work and live and visit for people with disabilities and remove barriers to access in our community wherever possible. We've got our roster of commission members. We have our new council person, Donnie Johnson is our new liaison after we've had the pleasure of working with Raylon for quite some time. And our city staff liaison is Scott Worthington, until we welcome our new assistant city manager. So a little bit about when our commission first formed, we really started brainstorming what can we do to improve accessibility in Ferndale. And I think a lot of folks hear horror stories of ADA lawsuits, and honestly, there's a lot of fear of tackling accessibility. But what we wanted to do is really celebrate wherever it's happening and wherever people with disabilities can feel included in Ferndale. So we wanted to really build something that could recognize different folks in Ferndale, whether it's an organization, a business, or some other entity, and really celebrate the effort people are putting in. So first and foremost, that's our criteria, is some effort has to have been spent that has a real human impact. Our second criteria is to really provide encouragement and to build inspiration for other businesses and organizations. And in the world of accessibility, storytelling has a lot of power to really spread word and show people what's often hidden that creates that environment of inclusion. And then again, it doesn't have to be moving mountains. Sometimes it's as simple as a really dedicated training. Sometimes every little bit can make a world of difference for people with disabilities in our community. So it's not just about money spent. And then the last one, and folks who have heard me present before, is going above and beyond the minimum in the ADA. The ADA is a civil rights law interpreted through building code and other things. And if you're meeting the ADA, great. That is a D+ of meeting the bare minimum. So we really try to encourage inclusion, and that's a very intangible aspect to measure, but it's one that we really tackle at this with our award. So with that, we've got our categories. So just high-level refresher, and I won't go into detail on all of these, but in our nomination form, we have 7 categories that we really think exemplify just about every example of accessibility that could be in the community. When we're always happy to be challenged and surprised by any new categories we missed. But the first one is digital accessibility. Ways that our digital information and worlds are made accessible to people with disabilities, which really ranges across so many different aspects for the community. Environmental accessibility, this is the one we think of the most, of how do you create a physical barrier-free space, and it focuses a lot on physical accessibility. So this is the curb cut, the barrier-free entrance. We've got cognitive accessibility. This is an area that is gaining a lot of traction, and it's part of why we partner with Ferndale Pride to have a sensory station at Pride Festival every year, is creating space for folks with neurodiversity. Employment accessibility, taking effort to really employ people with disabilities, provide accommodations in the workplace, and to integrate that into a business. Again, training and awareness, taking time to really understand disability inclusion and accessibility. Communications, being able to help people with disabilities navigate within your space, or be able to participate in kind of an online area with communications. And lastly, and something that is vital that we saw emerge with COVID, is health accessibility, and really being able to balance safety and accessibility along the way. So across all those 7 categories, we're really honored tonight. We have 3 award recipients. We had an influx of nominees this year. And it's something we envision a Ferndale where every business or organization might have this window cling someday, and people with disabilities know they'll feel welcome in those businesses. So these awards, we have 3 awardees this evening. They're not in any order, so everybody is a winner for accessibility and inclusion. And what we're going to do is Zoe's going to introduce the first one, and we'll describe why you're winning the award, and then we'll invite you to come up and receive it, and we'll take a quick photo. But all right, with that, I'll turn it over to Zoe.
All right, so our first winner is Margot and Max, located on West 9 Mile. And I nominated this business because of their commitment to making shopping, wonderful vintage shopping, accessible to people who maybe have difficulties or hesitations to go into a physical space, especially over COVID, hosting online like shopping hours, and now still requiring masks for everyone. So really creating a safe space for people who prefer to mask or are conscious in that way. Also want to recognize the owner of Margot and Max for something that I think our commission wants to work more on, which is recognizing intersectionality. So the owner of Margot and Max recently testified in front of the Michigan House, I think it was, about a hate crimes bill. And I think it's really wonderful to marry disability inclusion in all different kinds of ways. So if you would please come up so we can present you your award.
So this next one is actually one I nominated. It is hosted within the Rust Belt market. It's the Workplace Program. For folks who haven't seen their cards or flowers or other goods, It's an organization that supports people with cognitive disabilities and neurodiversity, and creates beautiful and fun art. It's where I get all my holiday cards, all my birthday cards, all my giant Belle Isle slide cards from. So I can't recommend it enough, but if you've ever had a chance to stop by, often people with disabilities are working there. So you get to really interact and see their impact in our community while walking through the Rust Belt market. So for taking that initiative for employment and having an amazing program and making those accommodations happen, we're really happy to have this group in Ferndale. So congratulations, Workplace Program.
Congratulations.
The last one, I think a lot of folks are familiar with, the Ferndale Area District Library. This was almost a challenging one. I think we're going to have to include a character limit for future nominations because they really hit almost every single category, and even ones we didn't directly touch on, we know they likely are. I'll cover half of these and hand it over to Zoe, but it's something that comes up a lot in our commission is how exemplary the library has been as really being a leader in disability inclusion in Ferndale and making a lot of efforts across all their programming to be more inclusive. A big one, I'll just go through our list, home delivery of physical and electronic materials and offering online library card signups. That access is something that really provides a vital knowledge lifeline to a lot of Ferndale residents. Things like the story trail that was implemented in Martin Road Park. It's right across the street from my house, so I get to see it every day. And it's extremely accessible, being along the nicely paved path. Also amazingly cleared today of all the snow and ice. And it's something that routinely Ferndale residents get to experience. They also have made direct policy within their social media and website content to always have alt text on images that makes it screen reader friendly. So folks who might be using assistive technology to navigate the web and digital spaces, it's a great example. I'll turn it over to Zoe to keep.
Yeah, it's really hard to cover all of it. And this doesn't even cover everything. So definitely stop by the library and check everything out because they're doing amazing things. So one of the other things they offer is hybrid programming. So some of the film club over COVID, and I think even still now, you can log in online. The recordings are available, sensory-friendly story time for kids, and really focusing on programming for kids who maybe don't want that traditional, it's funny to say loud in the library, but kids get loud over there in the kid corner experience. They do amazing staff training to work with accommodating all types of patrons. Then also, this was something we didn't know about. You don't notice these things till someone points it out sometimes, but higher visibility indoor signage with Braille coming soon. They've also worked with us in the past year to focus on programming for Autism Acceptance Month and other disability awareness holidays. So we recognize them for all that they do, and we love, it seems like the library crew rolls deep tonight, but come up, everybody.
So thank you, everyone. Those are our awards for tonight. We've got our Facebook group is the best way to keep in touch and stay in tune when our nominations open back again. But thank you, everyone.
Right. Thank you for those presentations. So now we come to the portion of our meeting where we have call to audience, where we have 30 minutes for, oh, I'm sorry, we have one more presentation. Yes, we do. Thank you. And I believe Christine will be presenting.
Through the year, Chair, sorry, I got out of order there with the amendment. Yes, our Ferndale Environmental Sustainability Commission will be introduced by some staff.
All right, thank you, everyone. So I'll be introducing the commission tonight. I'm Logan Appleby, the new staff liaison to the Environmental Sustainability Commission. I do want to start by thanking Christine Ross, our planner, for holding this commission, or taking over this commission in the absence of a zero waste coordinator. So thank you to Christine for all of your hard work. We really appreciate it. Now, in addition to all of your duties, of course, your many hats. So I will start by, and we have our 2023 chair, Quinn Ziegler, as well with us today. And here we go. So I'll start by introducing the commission. The commission is dedicated to furthering the city's sustainability goals. We meet the first Monday of each month in this room at 6 o'clock. We did adjust that for Christine's class schedule through January 2024, but it will be going back to Monday evenings at 6. We have 9 members in our commission, and we support the commission supports the sustainability efforts of the city, our goals of ensuring equity among the environment, society, and the economy. And we encourage members of the public to come. It's an open meeting, and we'd love to hear from you all. So I will pass it to Quinn to give the bulk of the presentation.
Thank you. So I did want to talk a little bit about the FESC's charge, because this is, what is in the city documents and what is important to us. So obviously, we're really involved in supporting the city's sustainability efforts, and we really want to collaborate with you and other members of the community, helping you with your priorities to reduce the city's carbon footprint. And then again, also assisting Planning Commission, the DDA, the Housing Commission, Parks and Recs, whoever needs help with sustainability within their goals, because sustainability cannot be a single thing on its own. It needs to be wrapped into everything that we do. A couple other items from the FESC's charge, development of methods into city documents. So that includes the climate action plan, that includes the zoning plan that we'll hear a little bit more about. And then collaborating with other municipalities, which I know Logan is going to be doing lots of, and our previous zero waste coordinator did as well. And then advising you guys, if there's something that we can help you with, you have a sustainability question that you really want us to dig deep on, let us know. So we did have a couple of goals for 2023. The first and biggest, I would say, is increasing energy efficiency in existing residential buildings. We wanted to create promotional materials describing sustainability practices. We had a 2022 rain barrel project that had started, and so we wanted to complete that in 23. And then, of course, ensuring that new zoning standards align with sustainability goals. So the first one, obviously the biggest one, and really the toughest one, because residential buildings are owned by residents, right? So it's hard to get them to make changes. So we really started this process, and I think you'll see it even more in 2024. but we did this by publishing resources and educational materials to the city's website and social media pages. And then we also looked into various pieces of Michigan legislation at the state level regarding energy efficiency. You'll now know this as the Michigan Green Energy Bills that were recently passed at the state level. And then we did have a robust discussion on a potential home energy rating disclosure program, similar to what Ann Arbor is doing. Right now, we've kind of let that last one lay for a little bit. But if it is something that really interests you, let's bring it up again. Let's talk about it again. Goal number 2 is creating promotional materials. And so we did this via, there is a website update. So if you're interested in reading some fall and winter sustainability tips around making your home a little bit more energy efficient in those colder winter months, you can find that online. We are looking to get some blurbs in the quarterly newsletter so that we're getting those tips out to community members. And of course, social media posts around No Mow May and the Rain Barrel Sale. So speaking of the Rain Barrel Sale, we used grant funding from Eagle to be able to sell 402 rain barrels to the Ferndale community at subsidized rates. Prices were at $30, $60, and $90. Normally those run $100+. Most residents were able to get those at the $60 price point. If you needed a little bit of help, that $30 price point was there for you. And if you wanted to give some help, the $90 price point was there as well. So we did have the Rain Barrel Sale on April 1st and May 7th. Thank you to everyone who came out, who picked up a rain barrel, and bless you if you came out on April 1st because it was raining cats and dogs. And then if you want to know more about the Rain Barrel project, there was a recap of this project on July 10th at that city council meeting with lots of facts and figures. And then speaking of facts and figures, I'm going to hand this over to Christine.
Yes, hello, everyone. So one more goal until we get to the really exciting stuff. This is where my planner hat comes on. So the fourth goal of the FESC in 2023 was to ensure new zoning standards align with sustainability goals. So the city is currently in the process of rewriting and updating their zoning ordinance following the adoption of our master plan actually 2 years ago, I guess now in 2022. So the FESC was in attendance at one of our public engagement sessions. This was a sustainability focused event that was held at Wilson Park. The attendance was pretty great. And then we have an image here from one of our other public engagement sessions. This was held at Urban Rest, and it focused on housing. And then we're still in the drafting process, but some of the topics that are being included are increasing landscaping standards, increasing EV charging station requirements, and permitting the use of alternate energy systems and energy storage systems. So that could be solar, wind, heat pumps, and then a few different types of battery storage systems. So I have some 2023 sustainability metrics here. This idea came from the communications department, actually. They did a resolution and reflection project, which some of the posts are still coming out, so I'm sure you've all seen those. So I gathered all this data for that originally, then decided that it would be pretty good to include that here. So in 2023, we sold 402 rain barrels. 698 new households signed up for the residential composting program. And this brings the total up to 1,136 since the program was launched in November of 2021. 208,660 pounds of waste were diverted from the landfills due to composting, and this was a 30% increase from 2022, so that's really amazing. 420 pounds of batteries were recycled at City Hall. We have a drop-off bin up at our front counter. 16 new properties signed up for the Planned Natural Landscape Program. This brings the total up to 91 registered households. You don't have to register to be a part of this program, but we do recommend it. And 705 residents registered for the first ever No Mow May. Again, this is something where you don't have to register, but it's something that we encourage. We held 12 FESC meetings, and 2022 was our second consecutive year achieving the gold level certification in the Michigan Green Communities Challenge. So the reporting year opens up in 2023 for the year previous. So the work was done this past year for 2022. But the challenge is open again for 2023, and I believe Logan will be working on that, so stay tuned for that. And we also had a lot of collaboration between the FESC and various community-driven projects. So, of course, like I mentioned, the FESC provided input on the ongoing zoning ordinance rewrite project. Over 105 Zone Ferndale sustainability surveys were submitted as of November 8th, and those surveys are closing on January 31st. So you can find those at zoneferndale.com and make sure to fill those out before January 31st. And then our 2023 chair, Quinn, served as a representative on the 2024 Finance Committee. So thank you for your time and dedication to that. And then Quinn also collaborated with Oakland University. One of our other FASC members, Mojgan, she's a professor at OU. So Quinn worked with her on a project about messaging and communication for air quality hazardous events, and really stressed the importance of city communication and collaboration. And I'll pass it off to Logan again, so thank you.
All right, thank you, Christine, and thank you, Quinn. So for 2024, we will be the commission's goals will be to develop a comprehensive plan for residential energy efficiency, finalizing the zoning ordinance in conjunction with the planning committee, and engage with the community through educational events, which will be tablings, trainings, giveaways, and as well as ongoing involvement in educational materials throughout. That could include the city's website, publications, an e-newsletter, etc. So that is what the commission will be working on for 2024, and we look forward to your participation. And thank Councilmember Kelly for their joining the board as our council liaison. And that's it. I can be contacted if you all have any questions about sustainability or the commission, as well as Christine here, but I can take the bulk of it, I guess. And you can take that hat off, Christine. Any other words? No? Well, thank you all very much for your time.
All right, we have now come to the portion of our meeting where we have call to audience. Call to audience is where anyone can come to the podium and speak for 3 minutes. You line up at the podium, and visitors or residents, you're welcome to speak for 3 minutes about anything that you'd like. And I ask that you announce your name and your address as you're addressing us.
Good evening. My name is Matt Clark. I live in Berkeley, Michigan. I'm here to talk today about the ceasefire resolution. I'm the chair of the Detroit chapter of Jewish Voice for Peace. We're the largest Jewish-Palestine solidarity organization in the country. We support equality for all people in Palestine and Israel, regardless of religion or ethnicity. And our organization has been calling for a ceasefire since October, since the hostilities really escalated. I love Ferndale. I used to live in Ferndale about 10 years ago when I first got married. And I'm proud to attend the Jewish congregation in Ferndale, Congregation Tehillah. And I'm proud that Ferndale is a place that I get to practice my Jewish faith. It's a very important place for me. And just this past weekend, Congregation Tehillah, based in Ferndale, held a Shabbat for a ceasefire, the Sabbath celebration, Sabbath ritual for ceasefire as part of an international coalition, nearly 250 rabbis across the world in support of ceasefire. And I'm glad that our organization is part of that and making that statement. I love Ferndale because it's a city that stands for something, more so than any other place that I've ever lived. Ferndale stands for human rights for all, for equality for all. It's a haven for people who aren't accepted in other places. And it would mean so much for this city to stand with the Palestinian people in support of a ceasefire and call for unhindered delivery of aid to Gaza. Israel right now is waging a genocide in Gaza, and I don't use that term lightly as a Jewish person. That's not a word that I throw around. But that's exactly what's happening, is over 25,000 people have been killed in Gaza. That's more than the entire population of Ferndale. Entire families are wiped out, children wiped out, entire neighborhoods destroyed. This is a genocide, and it's really important for everyone in the world to call for a ceasefire. It's important for Americans because our government is supporting that with money, with weapons, with political and ideological support. It's important for Jewish people like me to speak out and say that Israel's crimes do not represent us. And I'm not the only Jewish person that thinks that way. There's many, many people in Ferndale, Jewish people in Ferndale that feel that way, and will be so proud of this city to stand on the right side of history. It's especially important for a progressive city like Ferndale that is so forward-thinking on so many issues to say ceasefire now, to stand with the Palestinian people. This is not an unreasonable demand. So many cities in Metro Detroit and Detroit itself have made that call. I'm talking Dearborn, Canton, Wayne County, Hamtramck, Ann Arbor. Please, we hope that you join the list of cities that are doing the right thing. We hope that you make us proud and support a ceasefire. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. My name is Rabab Katab, and I'm a resident of Ferndale. I'm here today again to voice my support for the introduction and passing of a ceasefire resolution by the City Council. For more than 3 months now, every morning, as my children turn on their computers to start their first classes of the day, I start my day with the news. I take a breath and I hope for any good news in Gaza, only to be met with images of body bags placed in graves dug on hospital grounds and schoolyards. Images of devastated mothers and fathers carrying the lifeless bodies of their children, refusing to let go. Dust-covered and bleeding children on the floors of barely functioning hospitals, shaking uncontrollably. As a mother, how am I supposed to feel when children that look like my own are being targeted and murdered in the thousands? What am I supposed to think when Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim students and their allies in this country are being harassed, threatened, doxxed, and shot, all thanks to the persistent, intentional dehumanization that continues to be perpetuated by the media and our politicians? You want to hear how this is a local issue, how this is affecting the residents of Ferndale? Well, frankly, I'm ashamed to even have to verbalize the effects of this genocide on mental health, because the reality that Palestinians are facing in both Gaza and the West Bank are infinitely worse than anything I have or will experience. And I've only been watching this genocide for 108 days. I'm not sure how to comprehend the trauma they must be experiencing, not only of these past 108 days, but of the past 75 years. Not to mention the tremendous guilt I feel knowing that my family's tax dollars are contributing to this genocide. For months, you've been hearing from Palestinian, Muslim, Arab, African American, Christian, Jewish, and atheist brothers and sisters alike, all uniting to say, end the violence. Ceasefire now. For months, this community and communities around this country have been calling on the president and his administration, our senators and representatives, to listen to our voices and have the courage to say enough is enough. But that courage, for the most part, is nowhere to be found, and we have been and continue to be ignored. So here we are again. I thought that in a city like Ferndale, one that is known for being welcoming, inclusive, and supportive of human rights for all, that asking for a resolution that calls for an immediate and durable ceasefire, calls for the safe release of all hostages, Palestinian and Israeli alike, and advocates for humanitarian aid, that this would not be controversial at all. If you're a supporter of human rights for all, like this community clearly is, it shouldn't be controversial to stop the bloodshed. Yes. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Ahmed Ghanem. I'm a resident of Ferndale since 2011. united. If you can describe what is happening in Ferndale right now in one word, you will find the word united. United when you see Jews, Muslims, Christians, atheists, black, white, brown, people from all walks of life coming together to seek a resolution. A call for a resolution has been and continues to be a uniting force, bringing people from all walks of life together to organize, to protest, and to attend every single meeting of our great city. I can only hope that the mayor and the city council member see this historic unifying force, this historic unifying movement growing in our community, and use this force as a local government to showcase how progressive and how unified Ferndale truly is to the entire country. But make no mistake, unity does not mean 100% of people in the city will agree on one thing. But for people who don't call for ceasefire or who don't agree with us, we open our hearts and extend our hands to them, to talk to them, and to show them that this is not a political issue. This is a human rights issue. This is a local issue for people like us to feel that we are safe in our city. But considering the voices that does not like ceasefire resolution, by not passing a resolution is what creates real division in this city. What creates a division between an elected council and a mayor that's supposed to uphold progressive values. But till now, they failed to act upon it. And a community that is disappointed and shocked that their local leaders not passing a ceasefire resolution till now. And we have to come one meeting after another just to say that call for a resolution. If you are truly serious about uniting this community, all you have to do is to look at the faces of the tens of people that show up every single meeting. You will find people from different colors, beliefs, religions, lifestyles, different walks of life coming together. And if this is not unity, I don't know what is unity is. So I want you, please, unite this city by passing a ceasefire resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mariam Ghanem. I'm 8 years old and I live in Ferndale. I would like you to close your eyes and imagine this. You go out to shop for food. When you come back, your family is gone. Your house is destroyed by Israeli soldiers, and everything you love is gone. This is an example of what is happening in Gaza. Would you think killing innocent civilians is right? Would you think taking our tax dollars and sending them to a state that kills innocent civilians for no reason is right? Which side of history would Jesus stand on? The right side or the wrong side? Take a moment to think about that. I recently discovered that my great-great-great-grandfather is Palestinian, so I too am Palestinian. That means I have relatives that I don't know that lived in Palestine but were killed by Israeli soldiers. Everyone deserves to have freedom, especially Palestinians. I'm angry because while I am safe here in Ferndale, the people of Palestine are not safe and are in danger. We are all equal brothers and sisters. This is day 108 of the Gaza genocide. We are putting our hope in you as our city council, because our representatives, senators, and the President of the United States are not listening to us. Please listen to us. End the Gaza genocide. Ceasefire now.
Thank you, Miriam. And Ahmed, thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. It's a privilege to be with you all here tonight. Sorry. My apologies. So, really, that was really something else, hearing Miriam's words. And when I was listening to Miriam and Ahmed, first, I actually do want to say it is a privilege to be with you all here tonight. Ferndale has a reputation of actually being a very vibrant and diverse city. It has an incredible track record of condemning and combating violence against civilians, no matter what background or faith or ethnicity. And of course, I do want to make a special thank you to Councilwoman Laura Mikulski and Councilman Greg Polika for taking the time to meet with us face-to-face last week. Your discussion with us demonstrated your commitment to leadership and partnership, and we are truly grateful. Thank you. To those council members who have not met me, I stand before you as a proud Jewish American citizen whose mother is a Holocaust survivor. And so the history of my people instills in us, still thinking about Miriam's speech, a profound understanding of when a group is targeted for extermination. So as 21st century Jews, we cannot be silent in the face of injustice. Now, when Matt was up here, I don't know if you heard him, but he said that to date, 25,000 civilians in Gaza have been killed by military strikes. And then he followed and said, that is essentially the equivalent of wiping out the entire city of Ferndale. 70% of the civilians targeted are women and children. And in the time that I will finish speaking with you, a young child in Gaza will be slaughtered. A child is murdered by Israelis every 10 minutes in Gaza. My friends, I'd like to pose a question. Do you know why the Nazis were so successful with ethnic cleansing? Yes, they were ruthless and they murdered women and children and infants, and they certainly were masters of propaganda. But their secret weapon was a silent and complicit public. So I can tell you today that the Jewish community, we cannot remain silent. Every day throughout this country, more and more people are standing up, and especially here in Michigan, as you can see, Jews are standing up and saying, not in our name. Never again means never again, not just for Jewish people, but for everyone and anyone everywhere. The movement I'm referring to, of course, does extend outward from the Jewish community, and people of all races and nationalities and faiths across the United States, and particularly here in Michigan, they are standing in solidarity with Palestine. So, in closing, I just want to extend two invitations to the council. The first invitation, if I can say the word correctly, is to join us this Wednesday, if your schedule permits, at an interfaith community event so we can foster understanding and dialogue. And the second is I invite you to join us on the right side of history. For us as American Jews, this is not a political request. It is an appeal to your humanity, your innate sense of justice, and your belief in human dignity and equality. So thank you once again for considering the humanitarian plea of your constituents, and we look forward to a resolution in the beautiful city of Ferndale. Good night. Thank you.
My name is Nat Lichten. I'm a Jewish Ferndale resident. My wife, Triana Gazella Sardenis, who's not able to be here tonight, is Palestinian, and we have a 4-year-old child. I want to start, as Joshua did, by thanking Councilmember Mikulski and Councilmember Polika for meeting with us last week and for your real effort to engage in dialogue with residents who are calling for a ceasefire resolution here in Ferndale. Speaking for my wife and myself, we want to respectfully urge that in addition to any other action, City Council pass a resolution that calls for an immediate and durable ceasefire and end to the ongoing genocide and humanitarian crisis in Gaza and the West Bank, the safe release of all hostages and political prisoners, and the unhindered supply of aid to Gaza. Today we saw images of Dua Abaid hug the body of her 2-year-old daughter, Sama, who was killed in her hands in an Israeli airstrike of their house west of Khan Yunis. Today, we heard a young girl being treated at the hospital in Khan Yunis screaming, "My stomach," as a doctor attempted to clean 2 open holes in her abdomen without anesthesia. This week, we learned of the death of Badr Abu Hamad, killed trying to take his wife, who was 9 months pregnant, to a safer place to give birth. This week, we learned that all 2.3 million Palestinians in Gaza are in a state of famine, of executions of Palestinian men in front of their families, amputations without anesthesia, hepatitis spreading rapidly, and the bombing of universities by the Israeli army. Over 25,000 Palestinians have been confirmed killed, with nearly 70,000 wounded and thousands more missing and presumed dead. It is urgent that Ferndale pass a ceasefire resolution to send the message that Palestinian lives are worth saving, that Palestinians, like all people, should live with dignity, freedom, and health. A ceasefire resolution can center on the fact that many in our Ferndale community are being directly impacted. Ferndale is home to Jews, Muslims, Christians, Palestinians, and others who have direct familial ties to what's happening and whose faith compels them to call for a ceasefire, peace, and justice. And as a Jew, I have to say, not in my name. A ceasefire resolution can reflect Ferndale's values of diversity and inclusivity and commitment to human rights. It will tell impacted Ferndale residents, including my family, that we're seen, that we're valued, and that we matter here in Ferndale. A ceasefire resolution can be unifying, not divisive. It will recognize our shared humanity. It will recognize that true safety rests in breaking cycles of violence and oppression, not in reinforcing and perpetuating them. A ceasefire resolution as an official statement from the city will carry a weight that will complement and extend resident and council members' efforts as individuals to advocate to our federal representatives. It will add Ferndale to a growing movement of nearly 60 cities across the U.S. and will allow us to stand in solidarity with neighboring communities in Metro Detroit. I'm confident that there's a pathway for Ferndale to pass a resolution calling for a ceasefire based on our community's values and these very real impacts here in Ferndale. We must save lives. Ceasefire resolution now.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Heidi West, and most of you have heard with me. And again, I want to echo the thanks to our city council members that met with us. Tonight, I am going to be reading a statement from a different community member. Good evening. My name is Marnina Falk, and I'm a proud Ferndale homeowner and member of Congregation Tekiah here in Ferndale. As a Jewish person, I uphold our value that every life is sacred and deserving of dignity. I'm proud to live in a community that preaches respect for all identities. As someone with family and dear friends in Israel, it is heart-wrenching to watch the suffering of Palestinians in our name and to continue waiting for hostages to be released. I pray that soon my loved ones can live without fear and wake up to the death of thousands of innocent people. This ongoing death and destruction needs to end before it is too late. The time is now to call upon our country's leadership to help broker a lasting peace, a release of the hostages, and a freedom from occupation. This is a crucial moment for our city leadership to stand behind the values it preaches. Thank you very much. Again, that was from Marnina Falk in Ferndale.
Hello, I'm Angela Lepard. I live on East Breckenridge, and as a part of the Ferndale Palestine Coalition, I'm going to be reading a statement in part from the Amira Iraqi family. It's going to be over 3 minutes, so I'm going to read parts of it and then send you the full statement. So in part, I was asked to share my family's reasoning for supporting an official statement from the city of Ferndale calling for a ceasefire in Israel and Palestine. Unfortunately, I don't feel comfortable appearing in public to do this, so I've asked a wonderful fellow Ferndalian who offered to read the statement to you. Our family is both Arab and Ashkenazi. Maybe it's strange that my spouse and I got together given the historical conflict between our communities, but we both had opportunities growing up to learn that bigotry is wrong. She goes on to give some examples of both anti-Semitism and anti-Arab sentiment that both her and her spouse experienced. She goes on to talk about her great-grandmother. Her great-grandmother told me how awful it felt to be a Jew in the U.S. the day the news broke that FDR had turned back Jewish refugees fleeing the Nazis. She made sure I knew it wasn't just Nazis who could dehumanize people that way, and that it wasn't only the Jews they could dehumanize. Her daughter, my grandmother, marched with her sister in the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. They marched because they knew that being called hateful slurs and fearing being physically attacked by white nationalists, what that felt like. Her grandmother's sister splits her time between the U.S. and Israel. She goes on saying, "It is often from Israel that she sends us loving Eid greetings each year." She was in Israel when the attack happened on October 7th. They were panicked for a few days, learning that, not knowing where she was, but she did make it home safely. She ends by saying, "Our little family here in Ferndale believes deeply in the right for Israel and Palestinians to exist safely in their homes. We hope that you will join the growing international community demanding that Israel recognize the humanity of the people of Gaza and recognize them as distinct from Hamas. Most of all, we hope that you consider that families like ours are worried that we may be seen less human by our neighbors. We would love for the city of Ferndale to affirm that anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hate towards Arabs are equally unacceptable in our neighborhoods, that we will uplift each other here, and that Ferndale supports peace." Thank you.
Hello, my name's Amrit Kohli, and I'm a resident of Ferndale, a small business owner, a landlord, and a musician. I live at 449 Leroy Street, a home I have owned since 2006. In the aftermath of 9/11, incidents of Islamophobia and racism toward anyone who was or appeared to be Arab, South Asian, Sikh, or Muslim increased dramatically. In Oak Creek, Wisconsin, a Gurdwara was attacked and 6 people were killed. As tensions in Gaza and Israel have escalated, anti-Semitic and Islamophobic hate crimes have also escalated around the world. Recently in Pennsylvania, the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh was attacked in a terrorist hate crime and 11 people were killed. Brown and black people have been at the mercy of white supremacy in America for centuries. When will our lives matter? I come to you today with that sentiment of frustration and anger at how my people have been treated in this country. I'm an American citizen, and though I wasn't born here, I have equal rights under the law, or so I am told. It was never intended to be true. Racism is engineered in our laws, in our courts, in our jails, in our prisons, in our immigration system, and throughout our society. This is all by design. So I'm here to speak out for yet another group of brown people who are suffering through a genocide of their people, the Palestinian people. I stand here for the 25,000 dead and countless more dying Palestinians who cannot stand here and speak to you themselves. I stand here as a Ferndale resident deeply impacted by the bombing campaigns Netanyahu has unleashed on Gaza because innocent people are dying. I am friends with people who have loved ones in Palestine. I see their suffering in their families as loved ones are killed. I know Palestinian Ferndale residents who are deeply impacted by these atrocities. This is a local issue because your constituents care about it enough to rally together here, calling for a ceasefire resolution to be passed by the council. Such a resolution reflects Ferndale values. Ferndale is a diverse community of many perspectives, lifestyles, and socioeconomic levels. Community members come from all walks of life. This is a vibrant community with a great deal of promise and hope that hard problems and difficult situations can be resolved with cooperation, patience, and understanding. Passing a comprehensive ceasefire resolution will unite the city, not divide it, particularly if you allow members of impacted communities to guide its content. There has been a lot of focus on writing a letter, and I applaud you for working on it, and with compassion and dedication to unity and peace. However, we need both the letter and a resolution if we want to be part of a broader ceasefire movement that aims to stop the weapons flow to Israel, allow unhindered humanitarian aid into Gaza, allow for the immediate release of all Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli prisons, and the immediate release of all hostages, and bring about a permanent, durable ceasefire in Gaza. A resolution is vital to signal that Ferndale is on board with this international movement to stop the bloodshed in Gaza. Finally, I would like to thank Councilwoman Mikowski and Councilman Paulika for their openness and their genuine willingness to listen to our humanitarian plea. We are optimistic that our continued collaboration will yield the kind of ceasefire resolution all of us can be proud of, all of Ferndale can be proud of. So please, let's continue our dialogue and find common ground between us. Thank you.
Hi, this is Alan Hale, again at 1903 Woodward Heights. I am the chair of the Ferndale Accessibility and Advisory Commission. I just wanted to take a minute. 3 weeks ago, it was, I think, 60 degrees in Ferndale. It's not that way anymore. Winter's here. The snow has come down quite a bit. I wanted to highlight the importance of clearing sidewalks and clearing curb cuts in the spirit of being a good neighbor. It is still, I think, part of my introduction when I presented earlier, I didn't mention to a lot of folks in the room, my wife is a wheelchair user, and we live across the street from Martin Road Park. I've had to walk my dog all by myself for the last 10 days because there's no way for her to get to the park. There are 2 curb cuts that are solid ice chunks that weren't cleared, one by neighbor, one by the city. So it's important for everyone to think of that access for health and equity. I also want to give a huge shout out to DPW. This has been one of the hardest slams I think we've had in recent years. So a big shout out to all the folks who are keeping Ferndale streets clear and our sidewalks clear. I did also want to take off my accessibility hat and put on my Ferndale resident hat. And I am one of the reasons I live in Ferndale is because I know we're a city that's not afraid to take political stances. And it's part of the reason I live here. It's part of the reason I'm involved in our local commissions. And I think the human life and value of that we uphold is something I hope we do make an official statement on a ceasefire. To add just a few disability facts, because this is something I live and breathe every day as an accessibility professional. I think often we hear it's not our problem as a local community. What are we going to do about what's happening overseas? Just a quick history lesson. I heard the Holocaust brought up a lot of times. I heard Nazi Germany brought up a lot. They got that from Virginia. They got the idea for the Holocaust from our anthropologists in the 1920s of how to exterminate people in the world who don't hold societal value. They tested on people with disabilities first. So before the Jewish people were able to flee, a lot of folks with disabilities were never even given that choice. Same thing is happening around the globe, wherever there's crises. And in Palestine, there are 50,000 people in the Gaza Strip with disabilities who have no choice to flee. And the only option is a ceasefire. So thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Michelle Donaldson. I'm a 7-year Ferndale resident. I'm a mother, local business owner. I have a daughter in the Ferndale school system. Yeah. I volunteer. I'm an activist, and I'm a believer in the good our community stands for and perpetuates. I'm here this evening to urge the City Council to pass the ceasefire resolution in solidarity with the people of Palestine and my fellow community members. In a statement Saturday, the Euromed Human Rights Monitor reported that the occupying IDF, Israeli defense fighters, have systematically targeted and destroyed or damaged every university in the Gaza Strip. Over the last 100 days, they have targeted 346 universities. This weekend, we saw the destruction of the Alice Ray University and the National Museum, which held over 3,000 rare archaeological artifacts that were looted by the IDF. And it is the only university hospital in Gaza was also blown up over the weekend after being looted by the IDF. These buildings have been transformed into shelters for the remaining living Gazans in the area. In addition to the purposeful destruction of these institutions, we also saw the murder of 94 university professors and hundreds of students and faculty. Those targeted individuals included 17 individuals with professor degrees, 59 with doctoral degrees, and 18 who held master's degrees. I ask, how does the destruction of knowledge aid in the safety of the Israeli people? Before these universities were leveled and the great minds within them silenced, it is and was true that the IDF and the Israeli state have killed upwards of 25,000 people in retaliation for the egregious attacks by Hamas on October 7th. That, in contrast to the 1,139 Israelis who have died, cannot be called a response, a defense, or in any way a justification of safety. The far-right Israeli security minister has openly called the occupation of Gaza. How can we support this occupation with our tax dollars and our words, and in the same breath say the occupation of Ukraine is wrong? The answer is we can't and we must not. The undeniable effects of the continued actions of the Israeli state as they continue to escalate conflict in the region, a region that we, the U.S., owe peace to, after the U.S. aided in the destabilization of that region by misguided attempts to fight terrorism after 9/11. I am not anti-Semitic or pro-Hamas. I am pro-human life, I am pro-peace, and I am anti-genocide. I am anti-hate. These are all reflections of the values of this great community that I choose to live, work, and raise my child in. We must join in a call for a complete ceasefire for the people of Palestine, for the people of Gaza, and we must not support the Israeli state in their crusade against the people of Palestine, their flagrant violations of international law, and their masked attempt to eradicate and persecute a whole people.
Thank you. Before you start, so hold on before you do the time. We will have to stop at that lady in the back there who is in the last one in line. Thank you. Proceed.
So, my name is Hank Kennedy. I'm no longer a Ferndale resident. I currently live just across I-75 in Hazel Park. In 1967, the great radical Jewish historian and biographer Isaac Deutscher said of Israel's treatment of the Palestinians and the Arab nations, "We must exercise our judgment and must not allow it to be clouded by emotions and memories, however deep or haunting. We should not allow even invocations of Auschwitz to blackmail us into supporting the wrong cause. To bomb hospitals, schools, universities, houses of worship is a wrong cause. To kill over 10,000 children before they even have the chance to live is a wrong cause. To kill a poet like Rafat al-Arir along with his family when his only weapons are his words is a wrong cause. To arm ultra-nationalist settlers in the West Bank so that they can commit ethnic cleansing is a wrong cause. Now, we've been told that this is not the place to bring up this conflict, but I have called my senators, I have called my representative, I've written letters. They do not listen. One senator did not respond at all, and the other two gave me a form letter where they endorsed Israel's war. Their ears are stuffed with money from the war contractors and the profiteers. They do not hear. Do you hear? 100 years ago, Senator Fighting Bob Robert La Follette, who was running for president as the Progressive Party candidate, said, "Mere passive citizenship is not enough. We must be aggressive for what is right. If government is to be saved from those who are aggressive, for that is wrong. Be aggressive for what is right and pass a ceasefire resolution." Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Marie. I'm a Jewish resident of Ferndale, and I'm here to respectfully demand a ceasefire resolution be passed by this city council. I'd also like to add my voice to the many across this city, country, and globe who are calling for the liberation of all Palestinian people. Free Palestine.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Johnson. I am a resident and small business owner here in Ferndale as of last June. This is not how I wanted to meet all of you guys. But I don't have anything eloquently written out for you. All I know is that there are so many of us here in this city that are really hoping that you will work with us to pass this ceasefire resolution. Entirely too many men, women, children, innocent lives have been taken. We are doing everything we can to reach out to higher government. Nobody, like he said, is listening. We have to start somewhere, and we're starting here with you guys. Several cities neighboring us have passed ceasefire resolutions, and I'm hoping that the city that I moved to, based on the people that live here, beautiful, beautiful community, welcoming, accepting, inclusive. I feel like this would be the first community to pass something like this, and it's like mind-boggling to me why we haven't yet. So, thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Jonathan. I'm a Ferndale resident living at 2147 Shevlin Street. This is not my first time showing up to this meeting, but it is my first time speaking up. I have listened to many speakers the last few weeks, speaking passionately, eloquently, sometimes ineloquently, pleading with you to draft a resolution for an immediate, permanent, and long overdue ceasefire in Palestine. Despite the sustained and nearly unanimous community outcry, you have so far deferred responsibility, saying that a genocide in Gaza is an international matter and beyond the scope of the city and its council. But this is a cop-out, because the forces that are destroying Palestine are the same ones governing our lives too. Israel would not be able to sustain its war crimes without U.S. weapons and political support using our tax money. Never have I felt less represented by my federal government when the money that could be used to provide its own people with health care is used instead on weapons to bomb men, women, and children in Gaza. If you go to a protest for Palestine anywhere in Metro Detroit, you will see for yourself genocide in Palestine is a local matter. I'm grateful to my Ferndale neighbors who keep showing up to these meetings, also to those from neighboring towns. This is a community coming together to ask you, please be the city that everyone thinks that we are, a progressive and inclusive one standing on the right side of history. We are people with Palestinian and Jewish neighbors and friends and family. The U.S. is famously a multinational state, and this means that international causes are also our own. The fact that we are here tonight pleading for peace is proof of this. What we're asking for is really the bare minimum, and yet here we are in late January, February, what month is it? 2024, asking again. You might say that a resolution is unconventional, but the Council did it for Ukraine and for anti-Asian crime in 2021. You might say that it is merely symbolic and it won't make a difference. But every voice that speaks out against genocide succeeds in fighting against its normalization. Many city councils across the country have already issued their own resolutions, and frankly, it's starting to make us look bad. When Israeli cabinet members say the quiet part out loud and plainly call this a second Nakba, we must hear this for what it is, a confession. We cannot accept this. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to our voices, but I won't feel proud of the City Council until you decide to do what is right. However, I do already feel proud of Ferndale. I am humbled by the Palestinians and anti-Zionist Jews speaking up for what's right, and their allies who understand that this is our common cause. No matter what you decide to do, I know that we will keep showing up for the people of Palestine and for victims of colonialism everywhere. The fact is that Palestine will be free, And so, by the way, will Sudan, and so will Congo, because our fights are connected. And if Palestine cannot live in dignity, then neither can we. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Andrew Mullen. I'm a resident here in Ferndale, living at 429 East Saratoga Street. I'm here, like so many other people have come tonight in the past few meetings, to urge council to pass a resolution that calls for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza, the safe release of all hostages, and the free flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Don't think I need to explain what's happening there, as many people have already eloquently shared. But I would like to remind everyone here at council tonight that this is indeed a local issue. With so many Ferndale residents showing up tonight and at previous meetings, it is clear how important this issue is to so many people living here in the city of Ferndale, and that council should listen to the people who voted them into office. Sounds like many of you already have, and I'm obviously very appreciative for that, but we can use continued support. Late last year, I should say, a story came out about how a Metro Detroit doctor lost 20 members of his family in only a month into Israel's assault on Gaza. That story, unfortunately, is not the only one of its kind in both our region and around the country, with so many Palestinian Americans sharing stories like this. I believe one of them shared their story about that at the last meeting, if I recall. Think about the last time you lost a loved one, the pain, the grief that you experienced. Now times that by 20 within a month. I can't even begin to comprehend what that might feel like. And I'm not sure if anyone else in here could. That kind of pain, grief, and anger is something that people around our community are going through. This is a local issue. My girlfriend and I moved to Ferndale because we wanted to live in a progressive and inclusive city. With most of our federal leaders, including our very own representative in Congress, not listening to us, it is important for our city to stand on the right side of history and signal that we demand a ceasefire and that the city stands with peace and equality. Please listen to your constituents and call for a ceasefire. Thank you.
Hello. Hi, my name is Marilyn Rashid. I live on Maplehurst in Ferndale. My husband, son, and I have lived here for over 20 years. I was born and raised in Detroit, and I've been a professor of teaching at Wayne State University for many years. My union at Wayne State passed a similar resolution a couple of months ago, as did my native city of Detroit, and I'm proud of those communities of conscience, and I would like very much to be able to say the same thing about Ferndale. These are not powerful actions, they are merely symbolic. There is so much more that needs to happen to even begin to face and deal with the horrendous suffering that has been perpetuated against the Palestinian civilians with our country's support and our tax dollars. This is the very least we can do. We should have done it long ago for the sake of Palestinian civilians and the Israeli hostages. We live in an educated and very active community here, but very uninformed about this issue, blind to the blanket support our country gives to Israel to act with genocidal impunity against the Palestinians, mindlessly bolstering a blatantly apartheid situation for decades. These small actions of conscience that we're talking about today at least help to open people's eyes to begin to advocate about this very crucial issue. Please take this important small step today and pass a ceasefire resolution. Thank you.
Thank you all for speaking. We'll be moving on to our consent agenda for the evening. Agenda item 7A, approval of the January 8th, 2024 meeting minutes. Approval of the listed appointments and reappointments to city boards and commissions. Approval to replace forklift for the Department of Public Works from Max Service equipment in the amount of $7,500. Approval of a deficit elimination plan resolution for the auto parking fund. Approval to pay the pay increase to 15 an hour for precinct inspectors and 17 per hour for precinct chairpersons, effective for the presidential primary election held on February 27, 2024. Approval to pre-authorize election worker payroll for the February 2024 presidential primary election in the amount not to exceed $25,000. Approval of the City of Ferndale fiscal year 24 second quarter budget amendment. Approval for the Department of Public Works to purchase Western S220C Marauder 8-foot conveyor spreader for a half-ton truck from Bostic Truck Center in the amount of $6,353. Approval of the resolution in support of Black History Month and authorization to temporarily raise the Pan-African flag outside of City Hall. Approval of an ordinance amendment to add Article 12, parking and designated bicycle lanes, and Section 18-240 to the Ferndale Code of Ordinances. Approval of the release of affordable housing restriction provision for the excess funds for 1469 East Webster Avenue. And approval of bills and payrolls as submitted by the Finance Director and subject to review by the Council Finance Committee. Who will entertain a motion to accept the consent agendas items?
Mayor, I move that we approve the consent agenda items as presented.
I'll second that.
Nikolsky.
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Leaks May.
Yes.
Polika.
Yes.
Consent agenda item passes. Regular agenda, we have 2 items tonight. The first one being the consideration of the Pavement Improvement Program bid award that will be presented by our DPW Director, James Jameson.
Thank you, Council. So just a bit of history on the Pavement Improvement Program. It's a series of planned street updates. In 2015, road bond was passed by Ferndale voters, and that included about 10 years of street updates. Approximately 80% of those streets have been replaced so far, with another 10% coming in 2024. Typically, year to year, it's 10% plus 1 to 2% annually of the total miles of local roads. New road bond targeting around 2030 will probably be required. That's because the useful service life of asphalt is about 15 to 20 years for roads. So we did one in 2015. We should be complete around 2025, and then we would expect to do it again somewhere between 2030 and 2035 for all roads. In 2023, most recently, Al's Asphalt completed the work satisfactorily on budget and on time. Just a little bit more that'll kind of go over the cost, the bids, and the miles over the last 5 years. 2023, it was a $2.9 million project. We had 6 bids, did about 5.2 miles. 2022 was the same price, 6 bids, about 6.2 miles. I won't go over all of it, but you can kind of see the pattern. Typically, we do about 5 to 7 miles. We get roughly 6 bids on average. 3 may have been a COVID year. I can't recall, but that is not typical. 2024, we got 9 bids. Again, this is the 9th year of a 10-year program. We're doing about 6.6 miles of residential streets this year. The street repairs include curb and gutter repairs, some drainage, ADA ramps, and pavement markings on all of these streets. Portions of Jewel and Mapledale are included in the water main improvement program, and that is outside of the pricing for this bid. Al's Asphalt Company, again, is the low bid, and they were recommended by Giffords. So the improvement program cost this year, here's a general cost and bidding. As I said, 9 bids were received, which is a lot. We got some pretty competitive bids. Project is budgeted around $4 million. The low bid was $3.6 million. The high bid was $4.7. And that low bid does include about $300,000 in expected cement repairs that are outside of what we planned to do when we thought about this in 2015 and as things changed. So if you will, you could look at that as a contingency item. The pavement improvement program timeline for 2024, this is tentative, obviously, but April 1st, we should be looking at a pre-construction meeting pending approval. April 15th, construction should begin. August 31st, we should have substantial completion. And September 4th, we're hoping that our construction will be completed. There's a couple websites on here. Giffords and Webster will update the website prior to construction that will show a map of where the street repairs and replacements are taking place. Ferndale will as well in our website. I think that this website is the same, although it may look differently because of our website update. The streets that we're looking at in the preliminary grouping of the streets follows. And again, this is tentative. These groups are all put together based on other infrastructure projects, so water main replacements, lead service line replacement program, some sidewalk work. We look at what Consumers is doing for gas, we look at DTE, and then we come up with a series of groups. We group them in a way that makes sense for the contractor. They're not all equal lane miles, but they are typically equal work that should take roughly 4 to 6 weeks for each grouping, and that's if weather goes right. The first group is Wanda, Republic, and East Breckenridge. East Breckenridge, this portion is cement. Channing, Jewel, Kenton, Beaufield, Leroy, and Allen are the Group 2. Group 3 is Central, Livernois, Withington, East Camborne. And Group 4 is Chester, East Breckenridge, the asphalt section, Almont, East Chesterfield, and East Bennett. The notices are typically sent out 2 weeks for everyone that will be affected, 2 weeks prior to the construction beginning. And then typically there's a requirement, I believe in the contract, that says that other residents in close proximity to construction need at least 72 hours notice. And that is about it. Thank you. I can take some questions if anyone has any.
Thank you. I open it up to council if you have any questions, comments.
Through the chair, just to confirm, these, a lot of these streets are ones that we did the lead line replacement on, so they've been tore up for this year because of that program, and now they're going to be repaved.
Correct.
Second question, are there streets that were done last year for the lead line replacement that will not be paved this year?
That is likely true. We may get into that a little bit during the lead service line replacement update.
Thank you.
Through the chair, I do have a few questions. So if we could, let's talk a little bit about the bid evaluation criteria. I did notice that Giffords and Webster did say that they evaluated and that the groups met the criteria. But I was curious, what is the specific criteria that's being used to evaluate the bids received? Is it just based on the satisfactory completion of the job in the past, as well as the price point?
I mean, I think it would be typical with this, they would look at price point, price for the contract. There's an itemized list. They go through and they verify that all the pricing that they got is accurate. And if everyone in the bid is considered a reliable source, or, I'm sorry, not reliable source, but like a reputable bidder, they will just have equal consideration, and then price will be the final determination.
Okay.
They will check references. They do check with neighboring communities, other areas that they have included as a reference and had similar projects done, similar work for other municipalities.
Okay. That leads a little bit into my next question. The agenda item mentioned that the program had been completed in 2023 satisfactorily. Do we have performance metrics beyond just there's asphalt down on the road? Like, is there criteria that we're using, such as quality of work, adherence to safety standards, communication effectiveness, anything like that?
Yes, Giffords and Webster does include performance in the language. They have to meet specific timelines. Giffords does inspections. There are penalties for not meeting our expectations. Obviously, they're required to come back and do the work, but they do make more if they do the work efficiently in a short period of time, and they don't have to come back and redo work that's already been done.
Okay. They make more?
Well, yeah, there's penalties that they have to pay if they don't.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
So same amount that they would be making, it's just they would be penalized. And,
Correct.
Okay. And one last thought there, communication. So we had the communication timeline, or the basic timeline of work within your presentation. Does Al's Asphalt, are they responsible for communication to our residents, or is that something that's a DPW function or a hybrid?
I believe they're responsible for the 72-hour notice for residents that are in proximity to construction.
Okay.
Through the chair, they're responsible for communicating those deadlines and their expectations, so we understand those as well.
Yeah, and I'll add to that part of that contract is bi-weekly construction update meetings. So they are in constant communication with DPW and Giffords and Webster.
Any other comments, council?
I have one more, sorry. In the, I think it was the letter from Giffords and Webster, we have a map that is the Ferndale Road jurisdiction with the completed streets 2016 to 2023. And then we have in red 2024 and in blue 2025. The way that I read this map, it looks like we have basically repaved almost all of our roads except for what is planned for 2024 and what's planned for 2025. Am I misreading that?
That should be correct. We have roughly 20% left to do. And then we would have from now until potentially 2030 and 2035, at which point we would need to start doing them again.
Okay. And you said 2030 or 2035?
Yep, depending on how long the roads last. Roughly 15 to 20 years for asphalt.
Glad you knew exactly what I was going to ask next.
Any other questions? We'll need a motion.
I move we approve the 2024 Pavement Improvement Program bid award to Al's Asphalt Company for the estimated amount of $3,603,824 and authorize the DPW Director to sign contract documents following the approval of the City Council, or City Attorney.
Support.
Johnson,
Yes.
Polika,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Leaks May,
Yes.
Mikulski.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But we still need you up here, right? Okay. So we do also, our regular agenda item is the 2024 update on the lead service line replacement program.
Okay, so everyone already knows me. This is our project manager, Jeffrey Weeks. I'm going to hand this over to him, and he's going to run you through the updates for the 2023 lead service line replacement program.
Well, last but not least, someone's got to be there. So congratulations to those of you that joined the council, to those of you who I've seen before. You're still here, doing a great job. Joe, thank you for having us. So I'll start off with the basics. This is lead. We know this. We'll get that in a moment. We know this because of the bulge right here. 50, 80, 100 years ago, they wrapped 2 pieces of lead in a bulge of lead. This would be galvanized steel, galvanized right here. This really holds on to particulates in the water. This is what we are replacing for the residents of Ferndale. Over and over again, brand new quarter turn shut off, beautiful copper, which we got right here. And last year I brought in a lot more props, if you will, but I realized that was over the top. This is 1-inch copper. Great flow of water. Most homes have 3/4-inch copper, if they have copper at all. So wonderful showers are taken, gardens are watered. This is the good stuff right here. So this is what we're replacing. You can read as well as I can, but let me just run through a couple of things right here. Lead and copper rule was adopted here in the state of Michigan in light of Flint. So every community has to provide water sample testing. We identify water service line material. That's the goal in all of our homes here in the city. It's an ongoing process. We'll get there. We are currently replacing about 7.5% of the homes per year, but we need to replace the 5% of lead and galvanized lines, which we are doing. So we're up to snuff, so to speak, at least in the eyes of the state of Michigan. This is right here. This is what the graphic we send out to all the homes that we replace the line. You probably have seen this through your time, and if you haven't, it's pretty simple. So from the curb stop, which is underneath the lawn, it's always within 2 feet of the sidewalk, either on the private side or in the greenway. That's what I call it, the island, if you will. From there, we dig down and verify that it is in fact copper or lead, at which time we determine if we need to go in the home to provide more information. If it's copper on both sides of that curb stop, called the public and the private side, and in the home, there's no work to be done. They're already leading a great life. There's nothing to be done there. If I do find lead or galvanized, that is replaced at no cost to the homeowner, all the way to the water main if needed, and to the meter in the basement. Here we go. The lead service line replacement schedule will be determined by the following, and it's conjunction with what Director Jameson has just said in his presentation. Working on the pavement improvement program, the water main improvement program, working around the 5-year capital improvement plan, emergencies, which is water leaks. Being that we have this program in place, if a curb stop does in fact leak, I come in and help assess the situation and work with the contractor to replace that lead line. Even though it might not be in our scope of work for a given year, we still replace that for the resident. The other termination is to meet 5%. I've already went over that. We have a scope of work that we stick to, and emergencies do come up. let's see here. It's kind of getting redundant. The water meter replacement program, that's been a great resource in terms of identifying what is in people's homes. We take that information and utilize that so we don't have to spend money on verifications out at the water shutoff. Property records management. The years 1944 and 1945 really are a guideline for us. Prior to those years, lead. After that, generally copper, but not every single one. The preliminary distribution system material inventory is used to calculate the number of services that need to be replaced each year. We were at 413 for the last 3 years rather of this program. We're going to go down now because we've reduced the inventory of lead in our city. That number is still to be determined by Eagle. We must replace 5% as of this moment of the total, went over the contains lead, or contains galvanized, and we're trying to find out, again, which homes have lead or likely contains lead. The Eagle annual LCR sampling. We're looking for homes due to random sampling, which we are obligated to do, that are above the 11 parts per billion. We found 2 in the city this year. They were replaced immediately, working with the homeowners there. That's an action level. Does not mean that there's lead contaminants in their water supply, thereby harming them. It just means that we move quickly on our end to get rid of that so it doesn't become a problem. 2022, we didn't have any in there, so rolling along. LCR sampling, again, looking for the parts per billion that are above 11. We found a couple in 2019, 2020, 2021. We continue to sample all the time. Eugene Robinson IV, he is our water supervisor. He's in charge of that. He relays the information to me, and I address the homes as needed. Yes, so we had a $10 million loan, which we will repay from the state of Michigan. In 2023, we spent $3 million. We did complete the 7%. We ended up at about at 501 total replacements. We're waiting for Eagle to validate that. This is just how it works. We present them with what we did. Hubble, Roth, and Clark Consulting Engineers verifies all that along the way. The state of Michigan comes back and says, yes, you did do that number. So well above the 413 that we had to do, and we look forward to doing 400 to 500 more in this next year. Here's a map. Green are completed homes in the city of Ferndale. Blue are homes that we have not been to yet. Red are homes that are in progress, either waiting to get in the home, to verify, or waiting to replace them come the springtime. So some of you may have been, you're looking for your own home right now, and we have not been to the majority of homes. We have got to roughly 21.3% of homes in the city of Ferndale, meaning that we did complete the work or did verify all 3 sites. That it is in fact copper. So this has taken 2.5 years. We'll get another 3 or 4% here before June. What I'm saying is that we're going to need another 7, 8, 9 years to complete all the homes in the city. So working towards that at 400 or 500 a year. And this is the process right here. I'm sorry I'm getting long. I'm just trying to get through these slides. We notify the homeowners ahead of time that we're going to come to your home, providing that graphic and access agreement, outlining the work. Many people do step up quickly and like to get the work done, get on the list as soon as possible. Gustafson Horizontal Directional Drilling, LLC, they've been the contractor on this loan and scheduled out 5 and 6 replacements per day as the weather permits, but they do work pretty hard, so they generally get 5 or 6 in. A typical replacement for a full replacement, so from the water shut off to the meter, it's about 3 or 4 hours. And looking ahead, I kind of already had jumped ahead there, sorry. We're maximizing the number of replacements that we can with the money that we have available. We have 768 properties in our scope of work for 2024. Looking for verifications and replacements out of that. we've got about every 6 out of 10 homes here in the city has lead. So the math is another 400 or 500 should be completed in 2024. And, the fun number, I guess, is we have replaced 1,589 lead services, and we have identified another 593 copper services, and there's your 21%. We've spent down about $9 million of our $10 million that we have. So I think that's about it. Oh, here we go. We got more. We were awarded a $400,000 drinking water asset management grant from Eagle, and this took place in 2023. This grant was used to identify 362 homes that would not have been done in 2023 or 2024. So we have that information now. Moving forward, we can get to them quicker as their street comes up. So complete service line verifications to further our distribution system materials inventory that is due to Eagle in 2025, January 1st there. So just trying to get that information as we go. A whole bunch of great photo too, wow. But some more resources here as the residents or yourself need. I think that's about it, Jim. I've talked him to death.
What's the cost of replacement per line, roughly?
Full replacement is going to come in, is that what you're looking for here?
Yep.
About $7,000 is the cost to perform a full replacement from the water main to the water meter.
Lines that we think we have left.
About 4,500.
We could go back to that map real quick. Blue means we haven't visited, so not necessarily lead. It's just those are the homes that we don't know.
Yep.
And we do have predictions based on the verification that we've done to this date.
Correct. Yep.
And I think that completes. We're ready for
All right, I'll open it up to questions from council.
Chair? I have a wish list, and I would love to see the map that you have that has the homes that need lead service line replacement overlaid on top of our roadmap. One day, somehow, some way, because it feels like we do the work, we repave, and then we come through and we dig up. And I've heard it over and over and over again in the city. And I want it to not be true. And I can't understand it unless I can see a visual. So, future thought. And then my question was about filters and testing. So we had some residents recently reach out concerning, are we still giving out filters? Are we still offering testing? Are there any services that we can direct them to?
Jim, do you want to handle that
one? I don't think that we currently have any programs. Typically, when we find someone that's over the limit, it's that service line.
Through the chair, Oakland County Health Department does have a service program that they offer filter assistance. Ferndale has expended our total allotment, but we do have a contact over there, and it's pretty common for us to be able to get them assistance. So we'll make sure to get the Oakland County information.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and that may be found at the OakGov website on the slide right here.
Any other questions?
I'm just, through the chair, my question is, if we have about 4,500 lines remaining for verification and or replacement, do we have a plan? Do we have what is the amount per year we need to try to hit in order to make our way through the city? How fast do we need to get this done?
So the EPA guideline is likely going to change to 10 years from now. It's going to set that clock, and we're going to have to do it before then, if we interpret it the way it's meant to be interpreted. So it's really important that we continue to do it at roughly the pace that we're doing it now. If we have 4,500, we do 500 a year, that's nine. Math's not my strong point, but I think that's 9 years. There may be some communities that are slowly starting. What's likely going to happen is everyone's going to be in a crunch on that 8th year, 9th year, 10th year. And the last thing you want is to have 2,000 left to do and 3 years left to do it, because there are going to be other communities that have 2,000, and I'm not sure that the contractors in the area are actually going to be able to meet that demand. So it is, while our number that's required may go a little bit lower than 500, once that's actually confirmed, there is a very good reason for us to continue at the pace that we're continuing at. Because even if we do 500 a year, it's still going to take us roughly 9 years to do what we're trying to do. And as you get towards the later end of that, it's going to be even harder to do 500 a year, because there's going to be fewer that we're going to find. Typically now there's a higher percentage of lead that's found. Towards the end of that, we're only going to have so many left, and then we're going to have to do a lot of verifications and finding out where these people are. There's complicated access agreements and other things that may cause it to be harder to hit that 500 in your 9th year, or like you'll probably have some left to do in your 10th year, and those are going to take a little longer than what we can actually do right now.
Through the chair, is it true that the state's current requirement is to complete all conversions by 2038?
Yes, that is correct.
And then the EPA is looking at adjusting their rules, and if they do it, that would override the state's requirement and push that up to 2034.
And if I may, to that point, we're looking into acquiring the information, but for yourself, for all the residents, we, the city of Ferndale, is definitely in the top 10 communities in the state of Michigan in terms of homes replaced. And we will get that information and put it out to communications on the website, so there's full transparency. But we are ridiculously ahead of the curve in terms of getting this done, and I don't think it's going to go away. Joe, Jim, we're kind of on the same thought process here. It's going to change to 10 years, but we do find ourselves in a nice position currently in terms of replacements already done.
Through the chair, can I ask another quick question? If the EPA is moving up the timeline, do we anticipate any sort of federal funding for this in the future? Does anybody have line of sight on that?
Congress.
I mean, through the chair, to my honorable colleague, I can say that I am not aware of any firm or plans that would give us hope for additional funding allocated from the federal government.
Oh, that tracks.
Yeah.
Can I add that should it become available, we will certainly do everything we can to get it. We do apply pretty competitively through HRC and their partnership. We've applied for state funding, and we'll continue to find funding sources and apply for those as we can.
And, through the chair, I would encourage all of us, my colleagues, to be reaching out to our fellow elected officials in Lansing, both in the legislature and the governor's office, as the state goes through its budget process, which is in the advanced stages. Now would be a good time for us to be putting our pressure on those colleagues of ours asking for additional assistance. I think it's a good idea for Ferndale to continue being a leader in the state on this issue, and I think that makes us a compelling group of folks to put pressure on the state that if this is the priority, both from the state and the federal government, then they need to be lending us assistance in that matter. So, I would encourage all of us to continue to reach out to those folks and seek that.
And also, if I may add, could you share with us, you indicated that there is 4,500 households roughly that are still in need, and not all of those may or may not need replacement. Do we have an estimate based on those households? I mean, you're probably basing your ask on the 4,500 households. What would be that number? What does it look like, just so that we can have something as we reach out to our legislatures?
Certainly. So the numbers break down like this. There are approximately 10,200 service lines in the city of Ferndale. And what we found through 3 years of data is but 6 out of 10 water lines do in fact have lead or galvanized. So we've achieved, we'll say 1,600 if you just want to go with that number. And we believe there's going to be 6,000 total, so thereby 4,500 to replace in the next, hopefully, 9 years. And I think we're going to get there. And all the other ones will be verified in that time frame, but they will turn out to be copper. And that's what our numbers have borne out so far. And I believe that's what we're going to find moving forward.
But do we have like a price range estimate?
In terms
We
of
do.
price, yeah, we spend about 3 million now to do about 500. If you multiply that by 9 without getting too intense on like inflation and some of those other characteristics. So you got about 27 to 30 million over 9 years, roughly, very roughly.
Through the chair, I understand our current bond funding or revolving loan funding is about depleted. And this is going to be our last year of spending that cycle. Are we going to be able to achieve our 5% minimum with the funding we have remaining?
It's a great question, Joe. Thank you for saving that to the end. The truth is, that number, so long-winded, I'm sorry, I apologize again, but 413 is going to go down to roughly 87 homes, okay, because we've reduced the amount of inventory of lead that we have. We're just waiting for Eagle to rubber stamp that for us. So in answer to your question, sir, yes, we will have enough money to get over the 87 number homes replaced in this year. We're going to, with the money remaining, 120 is where we should fall. So yes.
Thank you. And through the chair, I would add, in this year's budget process, we'll be talking about recommendations for how to fund the remaining substantial amount without grants. And of course, we always will apply for grants and offset when we can.
Any other questions through council? Well, this was an item that there was no action tonight. It was just an update, so thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Council.
Okay, we have now come to the point where it's call to council, and City Manager, I'll let you take the lead as far as the department heads.
Thank you, Mayor. James, I'm actually going to have you come back up and just give a quick, oh, you're still there. I didn't even look up. I'm like looking down at my thread.
Long day at the podium.
Way to just stick around.
So, as everyone knows, we're going to get some freezing rain tonight. So I just wanted to remind everyone that DPW will be responding probably around 1 a.m. To some freezing rain. We don't expect much precipitation, but they will be out tonight, keeping our major roadways clear, our emergency roads, our truck routes, our connector streets. They will be working throughout the night and probably into tomorrow to keep those clear. But we don't believe there will be a lot of accumulation tonight. And I want to thank everyone for the support that we received for my first snowstorm, which presented some challenging conditions. And I do just want to remind everyone that, DPW did put in some very long hours over the last week. Not only were we presented with some challenging conditions, we really had multiple snowfalls that occurred after those challenging conditions. It really took up most of our resources, and we did what we could to prioritize our response to make sure that all of our major roadways were clear and that people could get in and out of Ferndale in a safe manner. So I do want to just say that, and then, so hopefully the predictions hold and we just salt and we don't have a lot of precipitation. We'll get through that one, and then we got 2 months left. So I think that's all for me and for DPW.
Yeah, James, I would echo and just want to congratulate congratulate you and the DPW for a job well done in all of our public safety departments. The fact of the matter is you're one of the few 24/7 departments that operate when we have a snowstorm like this, and the community relies on you guys. So thank you all for your service. It really is never more noteworthy than when we need you during an event like that. Well done.
Thank you.
Hopefully
Thank
it's
you,
just
Council.
rain.
We hope so.
Through the chair, actually, because of that event, I dismissed most directors if they didn't have a direct meeting agenda item tonight to stay off the roads. So I don't have as many director reports out tonight. I will say the DDA director, Jenny Beaker, shouts us out from home and wanted to also have me shout out the DPW in gratitude for the service of the downtown roads and assistance with working with the business owners on improving sidewalk responsiveness with FIAC as well. So thanks for your efforts. And Dean, before I cede the chair, I just want to give you an opportunity if you have any election updates or not.
Yeah, sure. We mailed out about 2,300 ballots this last year. Big thanks to the other departments that helped us out, help us get those out. If you still have your permanent absentee ballot application or your ballot selection forms, we just ask that you get those into us as soon as you possibly can, as it makes it a lot easier for us to process if we get them in earlier. Aside from that, that's about all I have.
Thanks. Mayor, back to you. Oh, you do it next council meeting formally.
All right. So the last meeting, I started to my right for call to council. I'll start to my left. So Councilmember Polka.
I have nothing this evening.
Councilmember Johnson?
What was that for?
Just a reminder from Alan's presentation earlier, reminding residents to please, please, please timely clear your sidewalks and curb cuts, the things for which you are responsible. Also do not forget to clear your drains, any drains that may be in front of your house. As this stuff melts, you will not like the result of puddles then subsequently freezing. So please, please do that. I would also remind folks to continue to reach out to our state legislators about things like funding for lead service line replacements. The state is, in the advanced stages of its budget development for the state of Michigan. So now is the time for communities and folks from both elected and residents to reach out and state your priorities for the state's budget. I'll be doing that pretty robustly over the next couple weeks, both in this capacity and in my day job capacity. So really going out there to seek the dollars. So encouraging folks to do that. And thanks to DPW for all of their hard work.
Right. To my right, Councilmember Mikulski. Excuse me, Mayor Pro Tem Mikulski.
Not going to get used to that. I also wanted to thank DPW. I know that I personally harassed our DPW director after the snowstorm, and kudos to him for dealing with it and being so responsive and being so professional. I also wanted to thank the commission members that came out tonight and did their presentations. It was really nice. It was really refreshing. It's good to see the forward progress that the commissions are having and the new energy and vibrancy there. And that's all I have tonight.
Councilmember Kelly.
I have nothing. Thank you.
So yes, thank you, DPW. I think I've already emailed you and thanked you and called because what you do is, I don't know if many people realize, you do work 24/7 in times like this. And I, for one, appreciate your team and you leading your team for everything that you do. And sometimes you don't get the thanks that you deserve, but we are appreciative. Most of us are appreciative, so thank you. I also want to take this moment to thank the Financial Task Force. I think they are winding down with their reports, and I just want to thank them. These are volunteers that have met every week since
September.
To determine how we are to consider how we're to proceed with our millage, our Headley override. I have personally watched those meetings online, and I can tell you that they have worked and have been working very diligently, really thinking it through, really considering the need of residents and the needs for the city. So I just want to thank that group, and I think they have maybe 1 or 2 more meetings left, maybe for finalizing, writing up reports, and then they'll be bringing that report to council for us to review and decide how we want to proceed forward. A couple more things I'd like to say. I also like to add some clarity. More often than not, for the last couple meetings, I've heard about council's involvement in a Ukraine resolution. And I just really want to make it clear so that it is understood, we do not have a resolution for Ukraine in our books. If I'm not mistaken, it was a vigil put on by residents outside of City Hall in support of what was happening and in solidarity with Ukraine. So we did not raise a flag, we do not have a resolution, and I just wanted to make that perfectly clear that that is not what has happened. So I want you to know that. As well as, I'd also like to thank Council Members Polika and Mayor Pro Tem Mikulski for meeting with individuals regarding the ceasefire resolution talks, and as far as trying to come to a common ground as to how we can support something that is so important to this community and still be working on behalf of this community. I want to thank also Councilmember Johnson for his input as far as drafting some language as well. Thank you all for adhering to our Open Meetings Act. I don't know if you all realize, but as far as when we're talking city business, only 2 council members. We cannot have a majority as far as meeting and talking city business. So I appreciate the council members that have stepped forward to take on this task. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate you. And with that being said, we will continue looking for a viable solution. And with that being said, I close this meeting at 9:22. Thank you.